So in this video, I just wanted to speak regarding Golang and declarative programming and Kotlin and Java. So I had a conversation in community of Golang, and I asked whether or not there is a library that mimics Kotlin standard library, things like partition, reduce, map, these declarative things that we use in Kotlin, or with Java we have the stream API, which is super popular. But I just want to warn you that if you transition to Golang and if you want to work with people, with Gophers, then most likely they will not know regarding those functions. They will write these loops themselves. Because I had a conversation with Gopher who is like 15 years of experience, and also I searched for the Golang code throughout the internet, and I see that people use the primitives like if, while, for loops, like while there are probably no in Golang, but for loop, like they use the most primitive constructs found in programming of high level languages, and they stick with that. So whereas, for example, in Java or Kotlin, for example, in my project, how I write the code, and people in Kotlin usually most of the time, they use declarative constructs like that. They will not use for or while loop if we actually have already, for example, this function, which is take while, which is from this standard library of Kotlin, which is available in all of the Kotlin projects. So this is like, I just want to warn, if you transition from Java and Kotlin to Golang, you probably will need to spend time or just accept this transition of cultures, that you will go more low level. You will write the code like, for example, this one manually. So even though there is already libraries, for example, this guy implemented. So this is like port from Lodash, which is popular library in JavaScript world, to Go, and it already provides such functions, for example, filter to filter elements based on some predicate that you will not use for loops to iterate over slice and check, but you actually just say that, okay, I need filter to filter this slice, and based on which rule you will filter, based on this rule, and that's it. So this is like declarative programming, and I think there is no chances that we do not eventually, in all programming languages, this will be a preferred way of programming. There is no doubt each programming language transition to that. Why? Because it's simply all of the history of the programming, we were reusing the things. First it was assembly, then C++. We provide more higher level of abstraction, and eventually we end up with general programming languages like Kotlin, where you describe what you want to do instead of writing how you would perform this indices counting and so on and so forth. Really low level. So that's probably it. So even though there are lots of libraries like this, it is not still in standard in Golang. Golang standard library does not provide this, and only freaks probably in Golang aware of this library, and most of the time they will write garbage if and while statement repeatedly, and this is the problem. Even Sonar or some static code analysis tool, they will highlight the duplication and say, hey man, this is duplication, you would rather extract it into some kind of reusable component like function, like we do here. This is fundamental thing that will, so there is no doubt. So it's like math, all right? It's like 2 + 2 is 4. There is no room of thinking other way. But still, in 2025, the culture in some programming language, in its Go, they prefer. So this is our conversation with people. You can read it, pause and read it. So, but yeah, so I just wanted to transition to Golang and to be it as a main language for me, but still I find some things that are not perfect in Golang, and I thought this is the most, like, the way that the thing that each programmer will use, because it's really helpful. It reduces the number of bugs because you write less code using these high level constructs. So it's not a matter of objectively better approach that people prefer in Golang use this style of programming everywhere and not using high level functions. It's just a matter of current trend in development, the current snapshot of thinking of people in Golang. Maybe it will change in 20 years, but it's now like that. So, and even though the Golang compiles and I write tests, I written the test, for example, you can see here it is like 1,000, near 1,000 lines of code. Even though those tests execute, you can see, okay, it's cached, but if I change it, for example, like that, or change it like that, and rerun these tests, you can see the execution is super fast, like that. And if I go to Kotlin, for example, Gradle or Maven will have a significantly more seconds, like it will be minutes to execute simple unit tests in simple project. And in most of the projects that I saw, the compilation and running the tests are super slow, like it is up to 10 minutes or even 15 minutes. And the pipelines are running forever in GitLab. So this is really bad, because nowadays we can write and review code okay, review maybe not so fast, but LLMs provide us instruments to write the code extremely fast, and it is no more bottleneck to write the code. The bottleneck is, of course, in communications and building, running tests. So this is really advantage of Golang, that it builds and runs tests extremely fast. But still, the disadvantage is culture of programming. It is objectively. It is not a matter of preference, but it is objectively better to have high-level constructs that are tested already. Okay, they are already tested. I provide the test in my library, meaning that if you write this by yourself in your code, it means that you better go and test this logic. You will provide unit tests. So this is, even though the LLMs can do this, but still, from my experience, human are the main who review the code, whether it's good or bad, and accept or decline the merge request or pull request, how you call that. So fundamentally right approach is to actually to use these high level constructs. In my opinion, from where I see, for me, it's objectively better. Like there is 100 reasons why we should use it, but still, so how, if you can accept it, then you probably is good to go, but otherwise you would probably stick with Java or Kotlin or more expressive languages. So Golang is not perfect. It is just better in some things, but in some spheres it is less preferable than even Java, which is monstrous. This is only some of the aspects of comparisons between languages like Kotlin, Java, and Golang for expressiveness and declarativeness and speed of development. Like Golang is much more preferable for speed of development in early stages, but in the long run you will probably end up in loops, such loops that and they will be different in shapes with different variable names, so it is more hard to read this code. That's probably it. Thank you.